Hey guys, I'm Tom the Tech Chap, and this is the new OnePlus Pad. OnePlus's very first tablet, and there is a gap in the market, something cheaper than an iPad and a Galaxy Tab, but better than your basic Android tablet. And I've been using this now for a couple of weeks, and I actually really like it. In terms of specs, it's not going to blow you away. We have a Dimensity 9000 chip, we have an LCD screen, I know, not even AMOLED, but then when you consider iPads just use IPS LCDs up until the iPad Pros, which are like 2.5 times more expensive than this, and the fact that with a 144 Hz refresh rate and also their very slick Oxygen OS software, this actually feels a whole lot faster than it should given the power under the hood and also the price. This is £449. $479 or €499, which means here in the UK it's about 50 quid less than this guy, the 10th gen iPad, which is very nice and quite a big refresh over the 9th gen iPad, which they are still selling. While that is still a good deal cheaper, it's 50 quid less than this. But what makes this really stand out for me is the design. Firstly, it's incredibly thin and light, and also has this quite unique 7:5 aspect ratio. Great for apps, having a couple side by side, great for scrolling through websites, just about usable one-handed, a little bit slippery, but maybe you can get the case with it. It's a 2800 by 1800 resolution, which gives us a nearly 300 pixel per inch density, so this is incredibly sharp, 500 nits of brightness, and it supports Dolby Vision HDR. And actually, you don't really notice that it's just an LCD. The viewing angles aren't as good, and yes, you do lack some of those sort of really deep inky blacks, especially on those black bars around videos, but it still looks really, really good. And of course, as I say, with that 144, super duper smooth. Not that you can see it on this 60 Hz video. When you then add in the accessories, and I think my favorite one has to be the keyboard because it adds so much functionality, and this folio design not only acts as a case, keeping it nice and safe and giving you a bit of that friction and texture so you can hold it one-handed, but it obviously adds a keyboard. Now it's not quite as fancy as Apple's Magic Keyboard, there's no USB-C port, and also there's no adjustment to it, there's just this one position. Also it's not a Bluetooth keyboard, you have to have it docked to use it, but you get a touchpad, full-size keyboard, really nice to type on. And so over the past couple of weeks, I've been using it like this most of the time, writing my notes for this video, browsing the web. I love the little trackpad. It's very slick and reminds me of an iPad Pro. Why? Because we have a high refresh display. Even the iPad Air, which costs a whole lot more on this, is still limited to 60 Hz. That's one of my big issues. So while this doesn't have the most powerful chip in the world, and when it comes to playing demanding games, it's not great if I'm honest. Graphics settings are lower in Wreckfest, the frame rate is not very good, probably not your best option unless it's casual gaming. But Oxygen OS plus 144 Hz refresh actually makes this feel incredibly fast, really, really quick. And so it's giving me iPad Pro 11 vibes, if I'm honest. But what's it actually like to hold and use every day? Well, the first thing you'll notice when you pick this up is how thin and light it is. It weighs about 550-ish grams. It's also just 6.54-ish millimeters thick. Also really appreciate how thin the bezels are. So it just makes this 11-inch form factor feel just a bit more comfortable to hold. So on the back, we have the main camera module, which is pretty big actually. Quad speakers, we have two on the top or the bottom or the sides, depending on how you use it. And actually, as you change orientation, it will smartly adapt to the sound coming out, so you always get that nice stereo separation. Volume buttons, power, USB-C charging, that's it. No headphone jack, which is a shame, something the cheapest 9th gen iPad does still offer, and also no micro SD support, which could be a bit of an issue because there is only one SKU of this OnePlus Pad and it has 8 gigs of RAM and 128 storage. Can't expand it, you can't buy 256, although when you consider that most iPads still start with just 64 gigs of storage and then they make you go up to 256 because Apple know that's exactly how they're going to make money off you, actually a 128 gig starting and, well, only SKU isn't too bad. And again, for £449. So no micro SD support and also no LTE or SIM card support. What you can of course do is hotspot from your phone, and if you have a OnePlus device with the most recent software, you'll also be able to do kind of like a smart hotspotting using the 5G data from that onto your tablet, but that's it. You can't get your 4G or 5G on this itself, you have to hotspot or use Wi-Fi. Now, when OnePlus sent this out and also gave me a briefing for it, they told me that it would have up to a 1-month standby battery life. I haven't had it for a month, so I can't tell you if that's true or not, but what I can tell you is that the battery life on this guy is absolutely insane. I ran a 10-hour YouTube video test, 50% brightness using the Chrome app. It still had like 43% of its battery left. You'll easily get 18 hours of video playback on this, and actually 1 hour of gaming in a quite a demanding game, Wreckfest, used just 10%. So potentially up to 10 hours of gaming. Battery life on this thing is nuts. It's gonna last you 2 or 3 days easily. The downside is that while it does support fast charging, in the box, this box right here, all we get is the red power cable. Also, why is it red? Everything else is green. The folio case, the phone, the buds, the tablet. Why don't we have a green charging cable? But the bigger point is they don't bundle a charger in the box. And while yes, iPads are better in many ways, especially the App Store compared to the Google Play Store on Android tablets, that's still their Achilles heel really. There just isn't as good optimization for bigger screens on tablets, although it has got better over the last few years, especially as we've seen more folding tablets. Although in apps like Instagram, which is, to be fair, completely rubbish on the iPad as well. Stories are cut off at the top and bottom, which isn't ideal, but the main feed looks pretty good, and pretty much every other app I've used, there hasn't been really any issues. And this is a great little tablet for watching videos, doing some work on, especially if you pair it with the keyboard, reading books, just using it as, well, a tablet. Before we finish though, let's just talk about pricing again, because if we combine the tablet plus the pen, the stylo pen, and also the magnetic keyboard, that comes out at just shy of £700 or a little bit over $700. Now versus its nearest competitor, the 10th gen iPad, we're looking at nearly £900 or $800. And the Galaxy Tab S8 and the iPad Air are even more expensive. And when you consider the iPad Air comes with half the storage, and then you have to upgrade to 256, that becomes extremely expensive. And while I must admit, as a tech reviewer who has every iPad there is, and you may have seen my big iPad buying guide, I'm a little spoiled by those iPad Pro 12.9s with their mini LED screen and ProMotion and the performance of that. I didn't think I was going to like this as much as I do, but when you factor in the price, the excellent accessories, this is a really tempting setup. My biggest issues are it's just not particularly powerful. As I say, games don't look great on this. Also, it's a small little point, but the keyboard, which you think you'd be able to just close like that, doesn't actually work. It kind of falls out. You have to bring it back and then close it. Just a minor point, you do get used to it. Also, LCD screen, AMOLED would have been nice, but that's obviously a price issue. And also we are stuck with just that 128 gigs of storage. You can't expand it. But considering this is their first attempt at a tablet, and also their first attempt at a watch wasn't particularly great, I think they've done a really good job here. And I'm really excited to see if they do come up with a new watch, maybe a laptop down the road. I would love to see them continue to expand their ecosystem, because this is a pretty cool setup. And as I say, importantly, really good value for money. Let me know what you make of this in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, a like and subscribe would be lovely. And I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.